celebrating 16 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Hallerin Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman, Part 1.
This is Anything is Possible. I'm Hallerin Hilton Hill. You know, I love kind of being in my living room and telling great stories about people whose lives prove possibility. Another story of possibility this week. They call him Hot Sauce. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's a real honor to be on here.
Let's just start with the nickname and work our way back. Hot Sauce.
Yeah, that's usually the first question I get. So, you know, when you fight, people want to give you a nickname, Killer, Pitbull, all kinds of silly stuff, really. And kind of when I started, I'm like, you know what, that's not me. I'm a competitor. I'm just an athlete. I'll go without a nickname. So I had a friend at the time who was working an office job, sitting in a cubicle, looking at computers and talking on the phone, and he sat beside me, so we'd always have lunch together and snacks, whatever, breaks. And he started noticing I was having hot sauce on everything, pretty much everything. And he started calling me that at the office. So he ended up coming to the gym, joined us, trained with us, and started calling me Hot Sauce around the gym, and it kind of stuck. And I was like, you know what, I'll take Hot Sauce. It's kind of a happy medium between all the silly nicknames out there and no nickname at all. So it's been fun. It's been good for me.
Well, this is Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman. Thank you for being here today. By the way, just to get this technically out of the way, what is the best hot sauce?
Ooh, let's see. Well, I was under contract with Cholula not too long ago, so.
It's Cholula, right?
But it's Cholula, but here on local TV, I love the gunshot sauce. It's a local hot sauce. I'm feeling that right now. I kind of, I cycle through. I have a hot sauce for a little bit, and then I'll switch off.
Well, thank you for being here. We'll have to get some gunshot. So where does your athletic story start? I know you played hockey. You grew up in Fountain City. Take me back to the very beginning.
Yeah, I've always been an athlete for as long as I can remember. I wanted to be an athlete, a professional athlete. Thought it was baseball early on. When I was a kid, it was all baseball. Then I kind of found hockey. Had some friends that got me into hockey, so started playing that, and really never stopped on it. I've been playing hockey for since I was a kid, all in, and led to some high-level kids hockey, what you could do, travel around, play a little bit, and then some college club hockey at Tennessee, and then a little bit, a dabble in some pro hockey.
So you played for the Ice Bears?
Yeah, briefly. Played for the Ice Bears for, I think, in the 07-08 season.
So why didn't hockey become the thing?
At the time, I thought it was the thing. I just didn't know, how to pursue it, I think. I was so good. I was such a good athlete and really loved hockey, but to play it at the next level, I don't think I had the proper guidance. I didn't know what it took to compete at the next level. I thought I did, but I just didn't have any guidance into what that took. So I didn't last too long.
So you end up transitioning out of that into MMA. Now, how are you making a living on this journey?
Yeah, you're not really at first. So after college and then after hockey, I started an office job. It was my first venture into the real world, what society says, okay, hey, go to college, get your degree, now get a job, and work and get a house and,
right.
The picket fence and pay your bills and work 9 to 5. And it just started driving me crazy eventually. I just couldn't handle it. I was in that cubicle every day and staring at the computer and talking on the phone and, grinding and doing what society told me I was supposed to be doing. So I did that for about 3 years, and about a year into that is when I started training. I realized, hey, you need another outlet. Is this, this life, it's not good enough for you. I don't know if I can do this. Let's try. I had a friend that was doing some MMA, doing some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Followed him to the gym and really never left. About a year into that, and then worked 3 years on that job and just realized it wasn't for me. I couldn't do this, and started doing some personal training stuff on the side and training too. But early on, you can't. You're scratching and clawing to do what you can to
just get by.
Yeah, just get by, make training ends meet, and do what you can do.
Why don't we take a break? When we come back, I want to talk about you kind of rounding it out, figuring out, I've got to go do what I got to do. I got to live the dream that I've been given, and I got to make this possible.
Okay.
This is Anything is Possible. That's Hot Sauce. More in a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
Is it fun to get hit in the face? People ask me that now. It's not fun. I mean, makes you ugly, it hurts, so.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. So you touched on something that really connected with me. You're doing something, you're doing the right thing, right? You're going for the station wagon and the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids, and like, you're doing the right thing, but it doesn't feel right because it's not you.
Yeah, society pigeonholes you. It says, hey, this is what you're supposed to do. Are you supposed to fight for a living? No, you don't do that. You go to college, you get a degree, you work 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, you come home and do the family thing. And just after a couple years, I started to realize, hey, I don't know, is this it? Is this the best it gets? So the rest of my life, for the next 60 years, I'm this routine every day. And, there towards the end of it, I could barely get myself out of bed. And also everything else society told me was, hey, you don't quit,
And I guess you need that tenacity as a fighter,
yeah,
so.
And you do, and so that's what I struggled with, finding the balance. Hey, I'm supposed to do this. This is, but, it's making me unhappy. I can't even get out of bed, and I'd get emotional and even led to some crying spells. And hey, but you don't quit either. You're not a quitter. You're not gonna,
Sounds like you were depressed.
Yeah, a little bit. So, I needed other outlets.
So when did you decide to just go for it?
I had been training a couple years and started to realize, hey, you're doing pretty well here. You're winning a little bit, and you're only doing this halfway. You're not doing this all the way. What's possible? If you were to do this all the way, and that was a time when the UFC was starting to come on, gain some popularity, and become mainstream, and you started to see some guys could make a living doing it. So I started to work my schedule to where, hey, I can make it to an extra training session a day if I, get up at this time, or I work these hours. I can do this. I can fit it into my schedule. I can make it work. So I started to figure out ways to really go after it, and started to see the benefits of that.
When did you just go, I'm out? When did you give them notice and say, I'm gone?
I took a training trip. I said, you know what, let's see what else is out there. These guys, I want to travel out west and see what's happening. So I agreed to take a week trip and stayed on a friend's couch who I had met in my very first professional fight. And he had some UFC experience, was really well known in the game. He said, hey, whenever you want to come out, if you want to see what the other level is like, you can stay on my couch, do that. So went out and stayed on his couch for a week and ended up finding another gym out in Arizona, and went back eventually, and was supposed to go for a week and ended up staying for 6 weeks. Lost my job, lost some of my clients and everything, but I said, you know what, let's do this. Let's stay here. So I ended up staying out there for 6 weeks and training for a fight.
What is it about competition that feeds you? Because when I shook your hand, you didn't power grip me. You have this warm affect. You're a killer, not a killer, but you're fierce. What is it about that you need? Because waking up in the morning wanting to go kick or be kicked, right? That's a whole different thing. I have friends that train. This is a whole other thing. What is it about it?
That's the thing I always search for. When I come back and I get asked probably weekly, hey man, why? Why? Why do you do this? Why do you want to punch people? Why do you want to get hit? Why do you want to grind, 2-3 times a day, 6 days a week? It's so hard. There's so much pressure. Why? And that's been something that it took me a little while to find out, hey, what's my why? Why do you do it? But it's just a competition. I think when I look back at my why, it's just I'm a competitor. I always have been. Whether it's, Monopoly, whatever it is. And when I look back, it's just, hey, is it fun to get hit in the face? People ask me that now. It's not fun. I mean, makes you ugly, it hurts. So I'm just a pure competitor. I think I always have been. I've always had dreams to be a professional athlete, and I don't think it mattered what it was. It could be curling, if there is professional curling, I know it's in the Olympics, but didn't matter what it was. I was going to be a professional athlete, and, I learned my lesson. I came up short a few times, and I learned from that. So I always carry this chip on my shoulder now, and, it drives me.
Talk about becoming a champion. It's an interesting story. You had kind of worked your way up. You were the next in line. Next guy up goes, I don't want to fight him. Talk about that.
Obviously the goal is to always be the top of the mountain. You want to be the guy. You want to be the champ. So worked my way up, and fighting, minor league fighting is similar to minor league baseball. So at the time I was in AAA fighting, minor league, and there's a belt there that was one of the biggest belts in the minor leagues at the time, and I worked my way up and won and got there, and the guy decided, hey, you know what, this is it's not for me. I don't think this guy, he's maybe on another level. I'm gonna pass. You can have the belt. So he ended up not fighting me for the belt, but they did find another guy to step in. So I was able to get the belt in an organization called the XFC.
Tell me about right now. Now what is Hot Sauce up to?
Now I'm sitting in the UFC. I've been tenured now for four to 5 years. I'm on my third contract, and the UFC is considered the NFL, the MLB of fighting. There are 500 athletes total, around 500 men and women, all weight classes, and they're all the best in the world. So I'm sitting in there, I'm competing with the best guys, and my weight class, the lightweight division, is arguably the best weight class in the world. So, when I sit back, I say, you know what? I'm a competitor, and I'm competing with the best guys in the world, and nobody can take that away from me. And I'm here. I'm in here. I'm still swinging, and I'm doing it with the best in the world. So
I want to take a break here in just a second. I want to talk to you about the training mindset and your training regimen, because my experience has been, we've done a lot of these shows, and I always like to kind of decode what it takes to realize your possibility. One common thread or through line is it takes some hard work. It takes focus. It takes dedication. And I'd like to get a window into what you've learned about moving toward a goal or a possibility and the discipline it takes to get there. This is Anything is Possible. More in a moment.
Coming up.
My dad passed away when I was 4, committed suicide. So, battled that. That's always been, a big thing for me. That's always also where I learned to be so strong and to go get things.
This is Anything is Possible. Great stories about great people whose lives prove that anything is possible. And I think what I love about Scott Holtzman's story, they call him Hot Sauce, is you had to fight for your possibility. You wanted to be an athlete. Society said, get in this box, get the cubicle, get the beautiful wife, happy endings. And you thought, well, I can do this, but I can do that as well. In fact, I was talking to your wife and she said something about the mailbox and you getting into, and we're gonna get to training, but you wanted to play hockey so bad that I'm not saying to the postmaster that you committed any type of mail fraud crime, but something happened where you like, I gotta do this.
Yeah.
What'd you do?
What really led me to playing hockey was, the neighbors got me into some street hockey. But an ice hockey letter showed up at the time for the Knoxville Cherokees summer camp. And he delivered it to the wrong mailbox, and it had their name on it. It was invite-only camp. So I took that and said, hey, you know what? This looks like fun. This is an opportunity. You could rent the equipment, the whole shebang. So I took that letter and I didn't tell them, and I took off and took their spot at the camp. And after that, really fell in love with hockey. But that's really one of many stories with me where I figured out a way to make it happen. If I wanted it, I went after it. And I kind of figured out at an early age and that, if I wanted something, I had to go and get it myself. Nobody was I didn't have any special opportunities. I wasn't given anything. If I wanted something, I had to go get it.
Tell me about growing up in Fountain City then.
Yeah, I grew up in Inskip community, Fountain City. Played all the sports you could play at the Inskip Community Center and some at Fountain City, but just my mom and I growing up.
Really?
Yeah, just me and mom. So.
Where's your dad?
My dad passed away when I was 4, committed suicide. So, battled that. That's always been, a big thing for me. That's always also where I learned to be so strong and to go get things because I didn't have any guidance.
Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. No, not just vaguely. A few memories, but.
How did they explain it to you, and then how did it affect you once the understanding of it started to catch up?
I'm not sure. I don't think they. Early on, I'm sure they probably tried to explain it in a way I'd understand it, but I know that eventually, or pretty quickly, it led to some resentment. Somebody gave up on me, or hey, I don't have anybody, I don't have any guidance, so it led to some resentment, which caused some trouble early on in sports and with authority and things like that. So, but that resentment also gave me that chip on my shoulder. Hey, you know what? You don't have any help. Your dad is not here helping coach. You have to be even better. Okay, you want to play this position, you got to go and get it. You got to figure out a way to work for it, and made me tough, really, because I had to figure out a lot of stuff on my own, and I'm still learning.
You are on the cusp of being a dad. Mm-hmm. So when you think about not having your dad in place all those years, you and your mom, what does that make you think about as you approach fatherhood?
Yeah, I owe him something. I feel like with my son, I owe him, a better life. Obviously, I want to be there. I feel like he's owed what I've never got. So all the things that I had to work for and learn on my own, I want him to learn his lessons, but I want to be there for advice too.
So you borrowed some of your toughness from what you had to learn. Mm-hmm. Did you also borrow some of your toughness from watching your mother deal with that? Because I can't imagine how she dealt with that. Yeah,
no, my mom is so tough. She completed maybe her sophomore year in high school, had 3 sisters, and they kind of raised themselves. The oldest sister raised them, so all of them are hard-nosed. I call them the Fountain City Fight Club. That's their unofficial nickname, moniker. So man, my mom was hard-nosed, man. She raised me to be tough and taught me a lot of lessons, probably as much as she could without having a father, you know, to you know, help out and do the other 50%. But
so you're growing up in Inskip.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have your father, but you have sports.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that competitive fire, and it kind of gives you a place to displace any resentment or rage or whatever it was. You could process it positively through sport.
Yes and no. I had trouble, and going back, I had trouble early on where sports was my outlet, but then I had trouble with the authority of the coaches and taking instruction, but I was always a super athlete, always the best on the team. You know, whatever I was doing, and I worked at it too. It didn't just come naturally. I always worked, but caused some resentment early on. But you know, had to figure out ways to, hey, you know, this is not how you do it. You know, this is the way to do it.
Why don't we take a break here, because this is a story. This is a movie. Now we just got into the movie. We'll take a break here and we'll come back, and part 2 we'll dig in. This is Anything is Possible. His life has got hot sauce on it, and you'll find out about it coming up.